All right, let's preview the game against Michigan. Joining us, Clayton Sayfie from the Wolverine. Clayton, we appreciate you taking the time. What do you think Michigan learned from the Oklahoma game that they'll be able to use on Saturday, things they can get better with?
I think they learned a lot because that was their first test, in a tough road environment. And Michigan has 6 road games this year, so they're going to have to get used to that. Nebraska is as electric of an environment as you can get. We saw that in the night game in 2021. Wasn't as raucous in 2023, but that was a 90-plus degree day, and Michigan jumped on them 14-0, I think, within their first few minutes. So I expect this one to be close, and I think that Bryce Underwood, the freshman quarterback, learned what it takes to kind of stay cool, calm, and collected in a tough environment. The deck was kind of stacked against him there. He had a lot of pressure in his face. Oklahoma was a swarming defense, but I think he can take that experience, as the rest of the guys can, and build on it because, like I said, there are a lot of bigger tests to come, including this weekend.
How has the coaching distraction been with Sherrone Moore being out last week? He's out this week as well. Is it much to do with nothing, or is it a bigger story coming to this week? Because now that was Central Michigan, now with him not being on the sidelines at a big game in Lincoln. How is that being viewed back there in Michigan?
Yeah, the interesting part is he was around the program all last week up until 12:01 a.m. on Saturday morning, and then he wasn't able to coach the game, and he won't return until 11:59 on Saturday after the Nebraska game. So it is different. He was able to game plan last week ahead of the Central Michigan game. Now, he said he was double dipping and also looking at Nebraska as well. So his fingerprints will be on this game plan, but he's not in the building at all right now. It's up to the coordinators, the position coaches, the player leaders, all the 120 guys on the team, as well as Biff Poggi, the 66-year-old interim head coach, to go in there and be the ones that have to go out and try to get a victory on Saturday in a tough environment against a team that looks like they're really good this year. So I think it is a challenge. The players have talked a lot about being motivated by not having Sherrone Moore, wanting to win for him. I guess last Friday night, the team dinner at the hotel before the game against Central, it was very emotional. And when he walked out the door, the last thing he said to them was, "Don't play for me, play for yourselves." And when he walked out, they all looked at each other and said, "No, we're going to play for him." So it's a team that's motivated to win for him. Make sure that when he comes back, they're 3-1 as opposed to 2-2.
Clayton, what are your biggest questions with Bryce Underwood, just now having 3 full games? And the New Mexico win looks like a good win right now for Michigan, but obviously you had Oklahoma, Central Michigan. What jumps out as big questions still with Bryce Underwood?
Yeah, it's, one, how much are they really going to trust him in a game like this? They didn't trust him all that much at Oklahoma. They had 9 third down passes that they threw. 6 of them were short of the sticks. A lot of screens, a lot of swing passes, a few handoffs on 3rd and medium, 3rd and long. They really leaned on the run game in that game, and it kept them in it. They didn't turn the football over, but they didn't make enough plays to really surpass Oklahoma and keep up with John Mateer, Heisman frontrunner, and that offense. So I think they have learned from that. They've talked openly about how they're never going to take the air out of the football again with a talent like Bryce Underwood behind center. But we have to see it against a formidable defense, the number 1 pass defense in the country, at least on paper right now, coming out of the non-conference slate. So, I think that, he only completed 38% of his passes against Oklahoma, but I thought he, made a few good plays in that game. He's gotten a lot of confidence in those other 2 games against G4 opponents, G5 opponents, Central Michigan and New Mexico. They're letting him use his legs a little bit more. So we'll see. He's a dynamic athlete. He's got an unbelievable arm. It's just going to come down to decision-making and the protection from the offensive line. And this O-line is probably my biggest concern, I would say, with Michigan. They haven't run the ball all that well till last week. And then the protection, he was pressured over 60% of the time against the Sooners.
Yeah, Clayton, real quick, last question. You mentioned him using his legs. Do you think we'll see more designed runs? I think there was about 2 or 3 in this last game against Central. We'll see more of those on Saturday?
I think we'll see a few of those. Chip Lindsey, the offensive coordinator, likes to use his quarterback's legs in the red zone as well. He did that with Drake Maye when he was at North Carolina. So I think we're going to see that a little bit more. And Bryce Underwood said he reviewed the film of the first couple games as well and realized he had some room to run on scrambles too. So he's dangerous even when nothing's down the field. If the pass rush kind of gets too far upfield or just doesn't quite get to him, he can get out and run himself. He had 6 runs of 10-plus yards last week. And Central Michigan had really not allowed much on the ground through the first couple games. So that was definitely a new element. I think we will see that quite a bit in this game because it's their only shot. He's their best player, I think. One of the two, either him or Justice Haynes, the running back, so they got to use him.
Clayton, we appreciate it. We'll see you Saturday up in the press box.
Thanks so much for having me.
All right, let's take a look at the survey results on what will happen on Saturday. It was some simple questions. Do you think Nebraska is going to win big, close Nebraska win, big Michigan win, or close Michigan win? As you can see, 58% of the people still say big Nebraska win, and 31% say close Nebraska win. So in other words,
What is a big Nebraska win?
I think more than 14.
Okay.
That's what I would think. If they beat them by 2 touchdowns, that's a big win.
That would be, yeah.
That'd be huge. Let's take a look around the Big Ten. UCLA fired head coach Deshaun Foster after an 0-3 start. The conference improved to 41-7 in non-conference over the first 3 weeks of the season. And now in the AP Top 25, USC, who should have been there to start the season, they join it to make 7 conference teams ranked. Ohio State and Penn State stay at 1-2. Oregon dropped to 6th. Illinois stays at 9. Indiana's at 19. Those 2 teams play. And Michigan is 21st, and USC is at 25. That's funny when you look at, I thought USC and Oklahoma were the 2 teams that were most underrated heading into the season. Oklahoma got the big win against Michigan. USC is scoring a ton of points. That's going to be a huge matchup when they come here on November 1st. Is that right?
Yes, because the 31st is Friday. It's Halloween's on
Friday,
Friday.
Halloween, yep.
Yeah, Maevas, he's really good. Give more time with Lincoln Riley in that offense.
They have a track team at wide receiver as well. Yeah.
A lot of talent you can recruit to LA and USC, and they got it. Yeah, and they might be plucking some guys right now from UCLA just to
come on down the street.
Come down the street a few blocks. Come play at the Coliseum instead of the Rose Bowl.
Sean, that is not an easy job at UCLA. We know it by how much money they get, the lack of getting fans going to the game. That is whoever takes that job, that's going to be a hard job.
Yeah, I mean, Chip Kelly was as good as it can get,
Yep.
and he got frustrated with it just because, you're expected to compete against Ohio State and Oregon and Penn State, but you don't have near the resources. You have the resources of a lower Big Ten team, and they're just never going to get the fan base there for whatever reason. They almost have become a road destination for fan bases where every visiting fan base like Iowa or Nebraska or Wisconsin, they're going to take 25,000 fans out there. And when Nebraska plays out there later in November, there will be more Nebraska fans in the Rose Bowl than there will be UCLA fans. That is a fact. And it's going to be a tough blow. But I'm interested to see how many of their players maybe opt to take the 4-game red shirt. There's about 33 players on their UCLA roster that could just take a red shirt. And, why wouldn't they at this point? They're still probably going to get their rev share payments if they practice. And, why would you want to blow the year at 0-3 with not really knowing what the coaching situation is?
I think they play Northwestern this week, maybe the last chance they have to get a win. Defense, a spy on Underwood? I know defensive coordinators don't like this question. At least Bo didn't. What do you think about the spy aspect?
You can use it in some situations. I think in 3rd and long situation, you want to be implemented, but I don't hate it. I want my guys to be aggressive and have a role and have a fit. You got to kind of sit flat-footed and you kind of wait around. Not my favorite. I think you can pick and choose situations to implement it.
Bob P. on X asked a question that's kind of goes with something that was in the press conference today. If Nebraska goes for it on 4th and short, who gets the ball? Who's the short yardage back? Well, it could actually be the tush push, right?
It could be with Heinrich Harburg. I didn't like the look of it, though, early. I felt like when they've done it a couple times, it just didn't go very well.
It worked better in the middle of the field than it did, actually.
And you wonder in a game like this with better defensive linemen like Michigan has, will it be as successful? Because it's on film now. And I think you almost have to disguise it where both Harburg and Raiola are on the field. Then you get up there and go really quick.
I'm going to ask this question because Thomas asked it on Facebook, but I just don't. What happens if Dillon struggles to move the ball? Is winning important enough for Rule to cause a controversy to give TJ a chance to see what he can do? People love the backup quarterback.
They do. He's the favorite. It has been this way for
forever,
decades.
Yes.
Frankie London.
Yeah,
exactly.
Listen, there's a reason why Dillon is the starter and his control of this offense. Listen, Nebraska has an asset at TJ Lateef as their backup quarterback. We can see his mobility, his arm strength, but his command of the offense is nowhere near of Dillon. So people just like to stir it up. But yeah, the only way TJ, knock on wood, is if something injury to Dylan. That's the only way he comes in.
Yeah, and Robbie asked if they think they're going to redshirt TJ Lateef. He's the backup, right? If he's got to play, he's got to play.
Well, he's got 2 games in and 2 more to go. So you look at the rest of the schedule. How many more games could get a backup in? Maybe Northwestern?
Right.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Maybe UCLA, which would be cool for him to go out there and
Yeah.
play in LA.
Yep.
But, you got a bowl game too, hopefully. So I don't know. I think they could stop him at 4, but if they need to play more than 4, they're going to do that.
Drew's on Facebook, and he's in Alberta, Canada. How important were the last few games to put stuff on tape for Michigan to prepare for, and how might things look different as an extension of that? Different from Cincinnati?
They're implementing things. They're implementing, you had things you wanted to do against Cincinnati. Every team, every game's different.
Yes.
Offensively, defensively, you got to change things up. But a majority of what Nebraska is going to do against Michigan the rest of the season, it's been put on tape, in my opinion.
Right.
You just don't have enough time to do all that stuff to make those tweaks from game 1 to 2 and 3.
And to answer the question, I think Bud will lead them out of the tunnel. Burning questions.
Can Nebraska's defense match up front? Do they have the firepower to go 4 quarters with a offensive line and an offensive style that Michigan's going to play?
Yeah, here's an interesting one. The corners fitting in the run game for Nebraska. The wide receivers like to get to second level quickly, get to the safeties and block linebackers. Fitting off the edge in the run game is going to be very important for the corners on Saturday.
Very true as well. And hopefully, this is the big question, can Nebraska win on special teams? They've been so good this year. Win. Make a big play on special teams to help them beat Michigan.